Easy now. Papa got things making hands
come down. Oh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. I'ma have to cut you off, like right now. You see, I don't want to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try the marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they ain't finished change. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip. Yeah, you
Welcome to the Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast, powered by The Athletic. Shout out to the company. My name is Michael-Shawn and You can follow me on whatever Elon Musk is calling that app these days. My @name has not changed. It's @Mike Dugar, MikeDugar. Also, shout out to everyone who follows, likes, subscribe, everything on our YouTube channel, Seahawks Man-to-Man. That's man, the number 2 man, the name of the channel. We appreciate all the love and support on there. Shout out to y'all who's watching us. Chris, go ahead, talk to him.
What is going on, everybody? You can follow me on Twitter at CKIDD206, and that's CKid206. And to echo Mike's comments about the YouTube, we appreciate all the new subscribers. And again, if you're listening on Apple, The Athletic, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, why don't you just take 30 seconds, hop on over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and join the viewing of the Seahawks Man-to-Man party on YouTube as well. But other than that, Mike, what a Monday night game. Did you think it was going to end the way it did, or did you think, the Giants might have a shot here?
I knew the Giants' offense was bad. I just didn't realize it was that bad. that was pretty bad. And I figured also that the Seahawks defense was due for a good game.
You predicted.
Did I? I predicted on here?
I might have to just throw the clip up now at this point. But last week, we were talking about Devon Witherspoon getting his hands on a pass breakup. I think you said it was DJ Shark, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He breaks it up, and you summarized and followed up, basically saying he's due for a pick six. I won't be surprised if against the Giants he gets one. And what do you know?
Oh wow, dang, I'm good. I forgot all about that.
Okay, at this point, I think I just got to throw it out there now and send it to you and let you shine a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I know. I called my shot like that. Yeah, if you find that, let me know, man. I need to, take a little victory lap. He can ball. Like, Spoon having a big game, was no, as I said last week, apparently. That was no
funny if I go back and I'm like, damn, did I dream this? I swear you said it.
If we said it when he wasn't recording, maybe that could have been. Like, hopefully it wasn't that. Hopefully his record of me calling my shot on it. That would be great, because I'd be wrong about stuff. So when I'm right, I would like to take a good old little victory lap. But yeah, Spoons, like the players and the coaches, or at least Pete, echoed a sentiment that I thought. I guess I should say what we're talking about. Seahawks whooped the Giants 24-3. You guys probably all watched it. I just got an email that says 16 million people watched it. So if you're listening to us, you were probably one of those 16. At least that's what the headline of the email says. I honestly did not click on it. It came through when my flight landed and was like, ABC 16. I saw 16 point something. Let me read this now so I'm not wrong. All right. NFL Week 4, Seahawks Giants on Monday night draws more than 16.6 million viewers. Oh, wow. Yeah, so there you go. 16 million people. So if you watch that, I'm sure you're listening. Or if you're listening to us, I'm sure you watch that. Don't need much of a recap in that regard. But yeah, after the game, obviously Spoon had a great game. All the players and coaches were just like, that's Spoon. We see it in practice. We kind of know. Pete Carroll was like, that right there. That's why we took him. Pete Carroll had a quote on one of his radio shows. I want to say it was after the first game. And initially, I didn't like how the host framed the question, because the question was just like, everyone wants you to take Jalen Carter, but tell us why it's so great to have a top 5 DB or something. And then I was like, that's weird. Like, we can just talk about Spoon without the context of Jalen Carter. But it's fine, because I got a really good answer from Pete. Pete was like, Devin knows the game so well, and the great ones know it this way, that when he starts making these plays, he won't be guessing. It's because he'll know. Like, the plays are going to start coming because he knows the game so well. So, like, he knows how to jump stuff. I think Pete specifically says he'll start jumping stuff. Yeah, this was after the Lions game. So I used it in my story, I think, kind of talking about how Spoon played. So, yeah, Pete called his shot, too. He's like, he's going to just start jumping stuff because he knows ball. And then, what do you know? I loved that quote, kind of giving us that prediction. So, And yeah, that was what, 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it was no surprise to any of them. None of us watched practice, right? Which I really want to remind those guys sometimes, like, we didn't ask you if we were surprised. We just ask you what you think. And they always say, "Oh, I'm not surprised." I didn't ask you that. Ask you what you think. But anyway, they weren't surprised because they've been seeing it. Spoon's been doing this type of stuff. When he hits guys, I don't know if you guys remember, we might have talked about it on the show. One of those hits, I think I tweeted the hit from the Panthers game. Spoon smoked someone on the sideline. He smoked D. Eskridge just like that. And I think the team posted a picture of it too. You hit D hard as hell, way harder than you should hit your teammate in camp. He just smoked him on the sideline like that. So yes, when they say things like, "Oh yeah, no, we see Spoon like this is what we see. This is what we expect because he's like that." It's like, yeah, no, I agree. When you watch film of him against the Lions and Panthers, it's like something good is coming. I mean, even on the play, he gets the pick six. I was sitting next to Greg Bell of the Tacoma News Tribune in the press box. I was like, man, Greg, we're really due for like one more Daniel Jones stupid play. This was like at the start of the drive, or maybe after he
Mike,
converted
so you just
one of
calling
those
everything,
legs.
man.
Yeah, I felt that one. I was like, because he had some bad passes in that game. Like Reek almost picked him off in the first half.
Dropped it.
Yeah, and he had one more where I was like, you just can't keep doing that, and the other team doesn't catch it. Like I just feel like it's gonna happen.
Run out.
And I feel like when Daniels scrambled for one of those first downs on that drive that took him down to the red zone, I was like, yeah, Greg, we're due for like one more Daniel Jones wonky play. Daniel Jones and Josh Allen just love having one. Daniel has like 7 sometimes, but Josh is always good for one, even in his best game, that he'll just give the defense one. I was like, yeah, he's going to give them one. He's going to give them one probably on this drive, like 3 plays later or something. Boom, Spoon, gone. Yeah, Greg's like, yeah, Michael-Shawn, you're right. Like, yeah, no, I've seen a lot of Daniel Jones tape in the last few years. He's good for those. I mean, every quarterback usually has one. We talked about it last week. Geno has 1 or 2 every game too. But like Daniel Jones, you can feel when he's playing with fire. Like, he's either gonna fumble here or he's gonna throw the ball into a DB's gut. And that's what he did. Credit to Spoon though, because you could kind of feel that coming, and that was the sentiment. I got a really great quote from Tariq Woolen last night that we're using, as you guys can see, for the at the bottom of the screen. Tariq was like, "Yeah, I feel like we put the world on notice because there is something to playing on Monday night. Like 16 million people ain't watched them beat the Lions. I don't know how many did, but it probably wasn't 16 million, right? Because it's just something to be said for everybody in the world watching Monday Night Football, right? Even different than Sunday Night Football, where people maybe are like coming back from their own game or whatever, or traveling on Monday, everybody locked in. They watch it. And they beat the snot out of them guys on Monday night. And it was really important, I think, for the defense, because people had kind of bought into the Seahawks offense with Geno and JSN and Tyler and DK, and Ken Walker. Like the offense didn't really need to show out on national TV because they had kind of done it. Every time people had been seeing the Seahawks defense, we get barbecued,
on passing.
Yeah, even the playoff game, like the last nationally televised game they had, give up like 40 points or something like that, So I mean, the offense didn't look great either, but that game felt like more of an indictment on the defense, and because they just hadn't balled out, in prime time. So they needed that. They did, and they knew they needed it, and yeah, good for them, because that's probably about as good as you can get, Chris, on defense. 3 turnovers. What else? 11 sacks. Pick 6. Like just about as dominant as you're gonna get. Like the Cowboys have had some really dominant games like that in the last couple of years, and the Seahawks have. That's one of them. That's one of them where you're expecting the other team to fire somebody.
Yeah, this was the game that I think the Seahawks needed as a team. I know you talked about the offense obviously didn't have the game that they wanted, but as you mentioned previously, the defense there was more questions about the defense, especially with Jamal Adams going to return. Well, where's his role going to be? You talked about it on the radio show with Puck and Jim on Monday. You're saying, well, I expect it to be Jamal in and Julian out. And what did they do? They said, you know what? We're going to put Julian in, Jamal out there. Jamal was basically playing nickel. He was playing linebacker for the most part. That was interesting to see. And I thought he looked – I started the all 22 later this afternoon on Tuesday and started watching it, and I could just feel watching Jamal, just the excitement and the confidence he had, he was just everywhere before he got hurt. Obviously, you could just see he was waiting for his moment, and he was just making plays. I know it's a small sample size of he can't cover, and then there's a play that we have in here that can show that Jamal's covering, and then he's able to make a play. I think he stops the receiver for 2 yards. He was just locked in, and not JSN, but Devon Witherspoon. We didn't even get a chance to talk about the hit he made here, but bam, that boy is a missile.
Yeah, nah,
And he ain't
Spoon is real, man.
I don't think he's even 200 pounds, and he's hitting as if he's Jamal Adams. And
man, he's real.
At this point, the Seahawks might say, "Hey, bro, you want to just play nickel?" Because I don't. You can put him anywhere, to be honest. If the Seahawks said, "Hey, you want to play safety?" I'm not gonna lie. I think he could probably figure it out in 2 weeks. How to play safety, how to make plays on the football in the box, or if they're gonna leave him deep. He's a baller. I know they categorize athletes. They say, "Oh yeah, is he a baller? Is he a nerd? Whatever you want to call it." Devin knows football, and it was fun to watch him make play after play. What do you have? 8 tackles, something crazy, and
seven or 8 tackles, crazy.
That's really unheard of, especially at that position. You don't usually have corners having that impact in the game, and it's not to say that, if you have a lot of tackles, you're a great player. It's where those tackles were made, at the line of scrimmage, behind the line. He had 2 sacks. They really allowed him to show why they took him 5th overall. There was no restrictions on him. They let him loose. They let him loose, and what did he do? He showed up and he showed out, putting on a really great performance for a rookie. And defensive rookie of the year, definitely up there. He's definitely doing it, and I'm excited to see what he does against the Bengals after this bye week. That's going to be another fun test. Jamar Chase, Higgins, those receivers, Tyler Boyd. I think is Tyler Boyd still there? I think he is, but
yeah, he's still there. Their offense stinks, but they're there. T. Higgins might be hurt though. I think he hurt his ribs or something.
Got it. But all on that, I really liked the defense answering the call against a bad Giants team. This is what you wanted to see. Obviously, if the offense does what they need to do, you're looking at a 31-3, if not 37-3 game where this is what you expected from the Seahawks. Unfortunately, the offense didn't do that, but for the most part, they've been okay. Obviously, 3rd downs, yet another issue in the game against the Giants. They went 3 of 12. There's no other way to say it. It wasn't good, and there's going to need to be some consistency, but I also think the injuries to the offensive line, they had more guys go down, had guys shuffling in and out. It was just a mess for that offense just because of injuries and execution. So bye week coming up, guys are going to be coming back into the lineup. Hopefully Abe Lucas is one of them, Charles Cross. I think Charles Cross is further along than Abe, but you never know once this bye week how guys heal up, and hopefully against Cincinnati, the offensive line will be back to full strength. I'm not sure about Damian Lewis. I don't know if you have anything, Mike, on Damian, but he was carted off. But outside of that, offensive struggles, hopefully they can turn that around and they can have a really, maybe against the Cardinals, everything clicks. That's maybe a game you could circle after what happens with the Bengals, go up against the Cardinals. Okay, maybe then they have the perfect game offensively and defensively. JSN has a great game where he has a couple of touchdowns. The defense is getting sacks and forcing turnovers. Geno does his thing, and everyone's happy.
I Google T. Higgins. First thing that comes up is Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins might try to play with a broken rib. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
insane. So yeah,
I don't play flag football with a sprained finger, so there's levels.
Yeah, yeah, that's insane. Kobe Bryant one time, thinking of Spoon, something you said just now made me think of. It's a simple quote, but it applies to Spoon. I remember asking Kobe. This wasn't in like a formal interview. We were just kind of talking about, this was after he got moved to safety in camp. And I was like, bro, you went from outside corner most of your career to nickel. As soon as you get to the league, now you're like, go play safety. I'm like, man, you doing your thing. Like, how are you kind of doing that? Like not for, like again, this wasn't for a story. This was more just like a dog. This is kind
Conversation.
of crazy. Yeah, it's like it's kind of crazy. How you doing? He was like, you look, and Kobe doesn't have many facial expressions, so he's one of, I don't know if you guys have any type of friends where they talk and you think everything they say is serious. It's very Kawhi Leonard-y, in that way. He smiles and stuff, but like he's very serious.
No, we don't.
At least
we don't smile. Don't. It's okay.
no,
bro.
I'm talking about Kobe.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he's very, very like you feel like most of the stuff is serious, even if he's like it's not as serious as the tone suggests. Just he looked at me, he's like, I'm a football player, bro. Like what do you mean? Is a position on the field that's football, I could play it. Like, so I was like, oh, I mean, I forget what I said after that, but this sticks with me when you like what you said about Spoon. Like some guys are just football players. Like you ask them to go out there and do something and they will figure out how to do it. Like you said, you need some guy to play safety. Spoon probably figured it out, just like Kobe did. Kobe had played no safety. I think he might have played like a couple snaps in college, freshman year, maybe, but he ain't really got out there and done it. And it's much harder to play safety in the NFL anyway. So, some of the some O linemen tend to be like that too. It's like I'll block, bro. Like if you just need me to block, I'll block from over here. I'll snap the ball. Like I don't know if anybody specifically has said that to me like that, but you see what O linemen can do. It's like, oh man, I need to play right tackle real quick. I need to play guard real quick. I need me to snap the ball right fast. Like those guys tend to just be good football players too. But like after the game, kind of going back to the headline of the title of the show, it's not as perception is important, or at least it's relevant. Important is maybe not the word. Relevant is the word. It does matter how players and coaches feel that they are perceived, because for better or worse, it has an impact. Like if guys feel like no one thinks they're good, they play a certain way. They have to prove like you are bugging. We nice. Whether that's the offense or as an individual player, like everyone has their doubters that they love silencing, even if those doubters aren't real. Some people make them up, like Michael Jordan's crazy ass. Like it just happens, sometimes they do that. But so I think that's why it was so interesting to hear some of those guys talk about, particularly guys who play for Pete Carroll. Pete's like, oh, every game's the same. Every game's a championship opportunity. Go 1-0 every week, all that stuff. It's like, that's fine and dandy, but man, when you're this defense and you've been like talked about quite a bit about how not good you are, and you get a chance to just beat the snot out of somebody on Monday night and like show out like that, all those individual plays, like it's not just like the defense was good in a boring way. Like everybody got to do a sack dance because Chris, if they had left Daniel Jones out there any longer, I might have got a sack. Like that's how bad the protection was for Daniel Jones. Like everyone got to do a little sack dance. So they get the Instagram popping with some pictures and some videos. Spoon got to get his thing on with the pick six. They got to celebrate for that. There was so much that happened. I forgot Quandre got a pick. Got to flap his wings in the end. So I forgot. I watched the game back. I was like, oh damn, Quandre did pick him off, huh? He got to get his flap his wings, do his thing. Jordan Brooks got the fumble recovery, got to turn up. Like everybody just got their little moment with the whole world watching. And that matters because when people like only can look at stats or like highlights or red zone, it can warp the perception. If they watch you all day with their families on Monday night and watch you beat the snot out of people, they're like, oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, people today on Tuesday woke up and was like, man, Seahawks defense might be something. Pete Carroll might really be on to something now, versus just if they'd have looked at the stats. Now you watch the plays, you're like, oh man, Pete's over there. Pete's a genius again, versus just seeing some highlights on SportsCenter or whatever, some Instagram clips and being like, oh yeah, no, the Seahawks beat the Giants stink. Now it's like, nah, man, Pete Carroll might have something. And I bring that up because it's relevant to those guys. They'll definitely, you guys will hear it when you see interviews. People talk about the Chiefs one year were like, people counted us out. Forget what year that was. You remember that when they won the Super? That must have been last year. Won the Super Bowl. I was like, yeah, people doubted us. What are you talking about?
Who doubted you?
Yeah, what are we talking about? One of those Patriots teams did that too. Forget which one. One of them won a Super Bowl was like, yeah, man, people that think we could do this or something like that. Like everyone needs to believe that there's people that exist that didn't think you could do it. So the Seahawks, I think, went a long way towards changing their perception by balling out with everyone watching. And everyone got a piece. 11 sacks, all the turnovers. It's one of the crazier defensive performances I've seen live. I've seen some on TV that are crazy, but yeah, live, I just started to feel bad for almost wanted to stop the game and say a prayer for Daniel Jones because he was
Wave the
getting
white
just smoked.
flag.
Yeah, man. At one point, I was like, yo, does Brian Dable just not like this guy? Like, why is he still out there? Like 11 sacks? Like, once we get to 7, I'm pulling you. Like,
Safety concerns.
It's like, bro, y'all got more sacks than we got points. Like, I'm pulling you out the game, brother. He's just like, nah, and letting me out here just run around. Yeah, I felt bad for him, but yeah, that was. We'll talk about the offense and some more defensive guys too. But yeah, I think that was an interesting thing as someone who was there to talk to the guys and like how big that kind of felt to not only play well, but help maybe change their perception a little bit because the last like 4 or 5 years of Seahawks defense has kind of been looking sweet, when they play on national TV. But now, games like this go a long way because I don't think they're on national TV again for quite a bit, maybe till Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But there's one more thing I wanted to add because I'm not gonna lie. I think I don't want to say I love, but I really
give a hot take. You feel like you got one on the tip of your tongue there, brother.
Not really a hot take. Just watching the game, I really think Devon Witherspoon should just be at nickel, and you can put Jamal. You'll basically have Quandre and Jamal, no Julian. That would be the sacrifice. I think you can rotate Jamal and Devon at that nickel spot. So if you feel, hey, this is a tight end we want Devon to cover. Devon takes that responsibility. Jamal's on the running back, depending on what scheme and zone they're running or if they're running man. I think Devon just, the way that defense played, I know Jamal was out and Mike Jackson was in. I guess in that scenario, who would play corner, Chris? Trey Brown.
Who should be okay coming off the bye. I don't know how his concussion is going, but it should be okay.
I think Devon gets more action when he was at nickelback. Or maybe it was just the fact that he's
you're right. He does. Yeah. Nickel is inherently closer to the ball than corner.
With that means more potential breakout plays that he makes, forced fumble, maybe a tackle for loss. Because when he's out there on the corner, your main responsibility is don't get beat deep. Okay. If a running back comes to your side, just wrap up, push him out of bounds. Obviously, he's going to do that and then some. But I think with his physicality and his ability to cover anyone, basically, I think putting him at nickel, it just creates more of a problem. Because usually, for example, the Rams, right? They're going to use Cooper Kupp in the nickel. They're going to put him outside. If you have Devon there and you're confident what Devon can do and you're confident with Trey, or hell, even Mike Jackson, if he's consistent enough, I think, man, this is money. What are your thoughts before we move on from that?
I think
it's a small sample size, obviously, because he played literally 3 quarters at that position, 3.5, but I loved it.
Yeah, the nickel definitely in today's defense, the nickel is not the same as what we're used to. Like the nickel used to kind of be like the little. How do I want to?
No, you're right. Jeremy Lane type. You got to be 5'9" and cover.
Jeremy's like 6 foot though. I want to give like a more.
I think it's your height, Mike.
Nah, he's definitely taller. Jay Lane taller than me. He definitely taller. It was thought more of like a Ugo type body, not the skills, but just like the body. Little quick, short area. Honestly, how DJ Reed is built. That's probably the like if you want to use like a good player. Damn, that was Ugo shade. I'm sorry, but you guys know what I mean. Like DJ Reed's really good. So, but it's changed now. Like now the nickel is so important because he's around the ball more than your shutdown corner, especially if you're in a 2-high defense where you're not really having those like one-on-one options on go balls and stuff that often, like Sherm used to get all the time, or even Byron Maxwell used to get playing opposite Sherm. All they did was throw fade balls on Max. Like it was crazy. Like they was testing him all the time. So you don't really get that as much in these Fangio defenses. And Fangio style defenses, these nickels are getting targeted a lot because the best receivers are all, you're not just sticking your best receiver on the outside anymore, like outside the numbers, and he runs like a variation of 3-4 routes. The only person still doing that was Cliff Kingsbury with D-Hop. D-Hop would be on the left side and run the same routes. It was just
still catch it.
Yeah, it was D-Hop, but Cliff Kingsbury was boring. But now look at the best receivers. They move everywhere. Look at Jamar Chase in the Monday night game against the Rams. Jamar was everywhere. He was not just at the X on the outside of the numbers. He was everywhere. Stephon Diggs is everywhere. Kupp is everywhere. Amon-Ra St. Brown everywhere. Terry McLaurin, even an A.J. Brown, a bigger dude, is everywhere. So the nickel is more likely to be at those plays. So when you say like, yeah, if he nickel is gonna make more plays, yeah, you're right. That's exactly what's gonna happen. That's why the position is so important now, because of how much movement there is, and how many more zones you can cover when you're nickel. The problem is, actually, my opinion on it, Jamal at that spot too is just as dangerous. Like, what pick was Jamal? 6? I think Jamal's like the 6th pick in the draft or something like that.
Between 4 and 6, one of them.
Yeah, he was picked really high.
I think
Just
you're
as
right.
high as Spoon. They're like the same type of player to me. They both see the game really well. Jamal's not described as cerebral in that way as much, but also this
6,
is a really
right?
good. Jamal was 6. Okay. This is a really good example of how far we've come as a country, where Devon Witherspoon, a black player, gets described as cerebral first. You see how many people call him smart? It's just outstanding. It's like that white linebacker who called Geno deceptively fast. I said, oh my goodness, this is what we was marching in the streets for. We didn't made it. Like this is, and yeah. Anyway, Jamal isn't described as cerebral like that, but he is. He's very much like Devon in that way. I think Jamal has one of those baldy breakdown videos too. This is when he was with the Jets. I think he has one on YouTube from like 2019 or something. So he's a smart player. You can kind of get a feel for it in that breakdown. So I think my preferred 5 would be what they started the game with yesterday. Yep. And as they started the game, Jamal, Spoon, Reek, Julian, and Quandre. I'm even cool if you want to swap Julian for Kobe, if you want to do that. I don't mind that either. Either one of those is fine. I could roll with that, because I do think here's why I kind of lean that way, because of what we saw against the Panthers. Spoon played outside and got 13 targets. So there's a chance for him to be around the ball a little bit more. And as we saw in the Lions game, he can play outside and still impact the game on 3rd and 4th downs, which is maybe more important than him. I can sacrifice him potentially being in the run fits, which he's still good at, with, all right, maybe on 4th down, 3rd down, just man you up on the other team's best player, or put Reek on him, and you're going to get that PBU that we need to get off the field. But yeah, either way, this is the secondary as healthy. I can see why they've been so excited to see it all come together, because that first 5 they put out there, that's a cold group. That's a cold bunch of dudes, man. Like, when that's healthy, man, it's going to be hard. Where do you throw the ball? It's going to be hard to find places to throw the ball against that group.
I agree. Well, look, we won't hold people off too long. We got to get to one of the big segments here, and that's Twitter questions, where y'all, our listeners, supporters, get a chance to ask whatever you like, and we do our best to answer it. So I know we got a few DMs, so I will start with that. This one comes from Shiv Ramdas. The homie is always asking good questions. 2-parter. Is Devon Witherspoon the fastest impact rookie in the Carroll era? And number 2, did the Seahawks finally have a real defense again?
Those are 2 really good questions. It's funny because I've been working on this project where I'm watching old Seahawks stuff. I graduated high school the year Earl got drafted, so I don't have a ton of context for how impactful he was. I know when I read and talk to people who covered that, Earl was a big freelancer back then. Like, he was just like very boom or bust as a safety. Like, he was either going to make a play because he saw something or see something, and then turns out he was wrong, but he was very impactful early on. I'm trying to think of some other guys. Shaq had a good rookie year. Probably for now, man, this could age poorly. It's probably still Reek for now, because I don't really remember. Did any of those guys make Pro Bowls their first year? As good as all those guys were,
he just didn't.
Shaquille had a good year.
He definitely should have, but there were some really good corners at that time in 2017.
I don't remember if Sherm. I don't think Sherm made the Pro Bowl his first year. I know he had a lot of PBUs his first year. Let me just look it up, so I'm just not guessing. But yeah, Reek coming in. Yeah, no, Sherm's first year, dang, he had 4 picks, 17 PBUs. Yeah, that's what I remember. I knew he had a lot. He had 24 the next year, by the way. Sherm was different. We should compare no one to Sherm, by the way. I don't want to compare. No, Sherm and Revis are operating in a different stratosphere than today's corners. But even though today's corners have to do a little bit more with all the motion stuff. Either way. Anyway, I still think it's Reek for now. Reek had an argument to be all pro last year. Like Reek's advanced numbers, his tape, his ball production, like he was one of the best corners in football last year. Like not one of the best rookie or young corners, one of the best corners. Like he was really, 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 really good. So yeah, right now the answer is Reek. If Spoon keeps it up though, we might be in a different conversation. But Reek just finished third in defensive rookie of the year voting. So like that's tough to top. And what was the second part of that? Did the Seahawks have a real defense again? Okay. I think they have a real run defense. That actually not I think. I know. Film of that
4 weeks in.
every week is so they're so in sync. I don't know if you guys are into this, but I really am. On Twitter, I love when people post videos of all the players on the field moving in sync, that it almost looks like some Madden stuff. Like I think Nate Tice at The Athletic has like a thread of some of them where it's like guys all doing a swim move on the line at the same time, or the fun one is always in basketball when it's a turnover and everyone on the offense, they all take the same step and all run the same way. It's really spooky. It looks like a glitch in our system. It's crazy. Like there are some plays on film where Jordan and Bobby look like that. That's how in sync they are. They're moving at the same time, same step, same hunch over the same way. Like it's kind of spooky. So I think the run defense is real. I think the pass defense has a lot of potential. I have faith. I have more faith than I have had in the past in the defense's ability to correct the mistakes. And I think part of that is there's a lot of room for freelancing. Or yeah, let's just call it freelancing. Being aggressive, taking your shot, whatever you want to call it. Like there was a play in the Panthers game, for instance. Thielen, I think it was either Thielen or one of them other receivers who was not very good, caught like a dig route, and Julian Love smacked him. But Julian Love was late smacking him. So the guy still got the first down. It was like 3rd and 10 or something. And you can see a play later in the game. Quandre sees something similar and just jumps it. And Dalton doesn't throw it. He ends up throwing it somewhere else. I think it throws incomplete or something. It throws over the head of like a running back or something. And Quandre just barking towards the sideline. And I haven't talked to Quandre about that play, but I would bet everything I got that he was just like, I'm tired of us getting beat on dig routes. So I'm just going to do something about it. I have to watch all 22 again. Probably wasn't even supposed to do that. But he's correcting the problem that they had. And you could see some plays on tape where they're doing that too. There was one yesterday or Monday where Jordan Brooks, he's not covering something for a while. He's just standing there. He's like, there's probably a dig behind me. And he just turns and runs. And there was a dig behind him. And then Daniel Jones doesn't throw it. I think he ends up getting sacked. It's like the emphasis is there. I guess that's the best way to put it. I believe if Clint emphasizes something with this group, it's going to get corrected. Whereas some of those Norton teams or even Clint's team last year, like they were emphasizing things and it just was not sticking, like for whatever reason. Like emphasizing the hell out of stuff was just not working. And you can already see the change with the run defense. And right now you can see some of this stuff with these over routes and dig routes. Like they're correcting the problems. So I think it's potential to be real. Shiv, access that question like after the Thanksgiving game or something. Like that might be the time to revisit. I mean, even if they play the Ravens and Bengals in these next few weeks, we might get a good answer. But the Thanksgiving game will be huge to answer that, because I think it's like they got the pieces of it. I don't think they need no more players. Like they got it. The best 12 the Seahawks have is real. It is. They just got to put it together. I think they got the pieces though.
This next one comes from @ZachAnderson21. Maybe I was premature on my concern for the pass rush. Is that sustainable, or was that just the Giants being bad?
The Giants are definitely bad, like real bad. Like their O-line is, they're gonna be, they might be holding open tryouts here pretty soon, because they got, they had 2 dudes get hurt on that like tush push. Like, damn, that's bad. Like they got some bad injury luck. They play at a stadium where it's hard to stay healthy because MetLife is trash in terms of the field. So yeah, the Giants are bad. You're not going to do that every week. Like there were some plays. Me and Chris were talking about this before we pressed record button. I think it's on Bobby's second sack. I don't even know if Bobby puts that much of a move on this dude. Like I think he just knocks his hands down, like swiping some bad food out of a kid's hand, you know, like, hey, put that down, and just goes and just drops Daniel Jones. I'm just like, this is bad. I think on Chenna's second sack or first, one of the two.
Evan, he just ran.
No, it's number 75. I don't think that's I think Evan Neal might be. It's because Andrew Thomas
the
is their
left
left
tackle
tackle. Yeah, it's the left tackle.
Okay.
It looked like he didn't even know that he's supposed to be blocking. He was just like, he just let Chenna go. I'm just like, dog, like, do you not like Daniel Jones? It looked like that scene in Longest Yard where they're all mad at Adam Sandler and just let the guards just tee off on him for like 3 plays in a row.
Thought you were going to remember the Titans, Mike.
Oh, yeah. What was it? What was
the
the
white dude
name?
didn't want to I forget his name, but he didn't want to block for the brother. He was, I'm not blocking for no black quarterback, pretty much, and he just let him through.
Yeah. I forget what Ray. He was Ray.
Yes, that's his name.
Yeah. Yes, it looked very similar to that. Yeah, remember the Titans, Longest Yard, all the movies, all the football movies. It looked like that. So the answer to that question, Zach, is no. They're not going to do that every week. They probably won't even do anything close to that every week because you can't play the Giants every week. Like the Giants have a worse offense than the Jets. That puts that in perspective for you because the Jets' offense is bad. Like Zach Wilson is bad. Daniel Jones might be worse than that. And they guaranteed, you know, crazy football. This is how crazy football front offices be. Geno played as well as he played last year and really only got a 1-year deal that rolls over in essence. Daniel Jones played worse than Geno, has played worse than Geno in the past, and at least in the more recent past, and got the full first 2 years of his $40 million deal guaranteed. That is bananas. They are going to regret the hell out of that. Anyway, but I do think the pass rush, and I might have mentioned this on the show before, the problem with the Seahawks pass rush is they weren't winning right away. They needed like a hitch or two. Like they weren't beating the linemen so bad that the quarterback couldn't get to the first read. They weren't doing that. Monday, they did that a lot. Like I said, both of Chenna's sacks are just, I'm better than this left tackle. I think Maffei's sack might be something similar. There were just instances.
Just moves the dude out the way, right? Is that the one you
Yeah, Maffei only had one. So whatever one Maffei had, I think was it.
Yeah, he just blew bro up and just sacked him.
I think even on Bobby's first sack, Maffei's pressure is what forces Daniel to step into Bobby. And it's just like these guys are bad. The Giants O-line coach is probably not a good teacher. He's just not very good because both teams were down O-linemen, and one team looked like it had competent play, and the other one did not. So I was encouraged by some of the pass rush stuff yesterday, particularly how they disguised some of the blitzes. But no, I wouldn't expect them to get busy like that every week. Like that, it's a pleasure to play the Giants O-line right now. If you're a defensive player, it really is. Your numbers are going to just shoot up.
This next one comes from Simon Titley at DK_Wookie1. Let's see here. After the fantastic performance against the Giants, is there a possibility the Seahawks trade for a cornerback for the outside if they keep Witherspoon at nickelback?
No. They got the guys. They don't need any trades. I mean, if someone like crazy comes on the market, like if the Panthers go fire sale and like, hey, we're selling Brian Burns, then okay, maybe. But outside of that, they got the guys. Everyone, the horses are in the stable. When healthy, I mean, they're not going to just hold people to 3 points every week, but you can see the marriage of the scheme and the players and the freedom. The freedom is a big part. I haven't done the full story on this yet because I want the season to play out. But one thing that stood out about Carl Scott, their DB coach, is Carl Scott, he will let the guys, like, if they're just like, hey, coach, I know that's how we teach it within the rules, but like, I feel more comfortable if I can just play it this way. And then Carl will be like, okay, keep talking. Let's work through it because you're going to be out there making the play. So I want you to feel as comfortable as you can so you can play fast. Carl gives that freedom. Every coach does not do that. Coach will be like, no, this is our rules. This is how you're going to do it because I said so. And Carl's like, no.
Let's have a conversation.
It's particularly with the veterans like Quandre, Julian, Jamal. Like if they see something, they're like, hey, if you feel like you can handle this conflict in our coverage a better way, let's talk it through. If you're right, I'll let you roll. If maybe I'm right and we need to talk it out and you listen to me, either way, that you can see the freedom come through. It really worked with Chenna last year. Chenna just gets to just shoot stuff and it just works for him. He gets to blow stuff up. I mean, Jordan Brooks is shooting stuff. I don't know if I mentioned it on our post-game show, but like, for instance, on the 4th down play that Spoon breaks up against the Lions, one of them, he had two, but either the first or the second one, Jordan Brooks is right there on Jared Goff. And he's not supposed to be, but he saw something and was like, I'm about to just go. I think he thought it was a run because it was 4th and short. And then he got there and was like, dang, it ain't a run. Let me just go hit Jared. And then it's the second one because Jared throws a bad ball. But that type of play is like, I don't even think Jordan was supposed to do that. But he was like, I'm about to just go. I need to make a play. And they're doing it, but they're doing it within the scheme, so you're not just seeing a bunch of dudes running free. It did happen a couple times yesterday. One of them I think was man-to-man, and the other one was I think Spoon just didn't realize he's supposed to carry the wheel. But generally speaking, like I think the scheme is working really well with these guys. So I think they got it. John Snyder did a good job. They got all the pieces they need.
This next one comes from Eric at Tweets Are Dumb. With the bye week coming up, should we expect to see Jamal Adams against the Bengals?
I don't know because head injuries are just impossible to predict. I did feel bad for Jamal leaving 9 plays in, and I felt bad for that poor dude wearing the red hat. I'm always at the game, so I don't watch. I can't see what you guys are seeing on TV, but I did see the clips that they were showing. That poor red hat guy, he was getting chewed out.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they were arguing about, and it doesn't even really matter. I just know I can see why Jamal probably had to yell at somebody. Somebody was getting yelled at by Jamal, whether it was like cussing out a family member on the phone in the locker room when he got ruled out, or a teammate or a coach or a doctor or whoever, the lunch lady, like somebody to have missed 300 and whatever days, whatever they said since he's played, and to get ruled out 9 plays in, and he probably feels fine. He's probably, oh, my head's cool, I'm fine. And they'd be like, nah, you're good, go, you're out the game. Yeah, I'd have screamed at somebody too. Hope so, because Chris, we got the clip. Jamal's back.
Jones was looking to air it out.
Is back. Like Jamal's locked in, man. This play where he smoked. Who is this? Is Paris Campbell? Yeah, I think that is Paris Campbell. Because I didn't like when he was touching the ball because his name is spelled funky. So, it is. I think it's Paris with 2 R's. Why would you do that?
Paris.
Hold on. Now I think because I think I was spelling it wrong in a previous, because he played for another team I think the Seahawks played against. I think he like played for the Colts or something. But yeah, his name is spelled weird, so I always get it wrong. Anyway, I'm sorry. But yeah, Jamal just smokes this guy, and it's just good, a good feel, good tackling. I don't know why he didn't tackle Daniel Jones like this. Instead, he just ducked his head and got kneed in the head. That was weird. But man, Chris, a healthy Jamal, he's locked in, man. And again with Clint solving problems, Chris, you remember how Ken Norton just couldn't scheme up Jamal to get a free blitz in 2021?
Yeah,
it was just terrible. It wasn't all just Clint's fault, but it was very clear that whenever he couldn't fool other teams' protection schemes, he just could not. The whole year, Jamal had no sacks in 2021. The first time he rushes Russell in 2022, he gets a quarterback pressure. The first time he rushes Daniel Jones on Monday, he gets a quarterback pressure. Now, it's on him to get those guys on the ground, but the point is he is getting free runs at the quarterback with Clint. He's scheming it up. And Chris, if Clint has figured out how to scheme up free rushers for Jamal, man, look here. Jamal about to be special again. Like the I don't even care if people don't think he can cover, because anybody who watches the film knows, so it's not even not that big of a deal. Even if he couldn't, he about to start wrecking some quarterbacks here. And if he's not even getting the sacks, look what pressure does. Pressure just throws off everything. Guys got a hitch. They start taking off. They lose their ball security, like Daniel Jones' fumble that he lost. Chenna gets pressure on him, doesn't get the sack, but it allows now Daniel Jones is scrambling back there with no holding the ball at loaf of bread, boom, gets smoked. So I would expect Jamal back. I know Pete Carroll's trying to make us feel better about the injury by saying, hey, he's fine. You guys know on this show, Pete Carroll's injury updates mean nothing to us. He is probably like the least trustworthy coach when it comes to injuries. Like, I'll repeat it on this show, Chris. We've talked about it. He said Abe Lucas wasn't injured. Abe ain't played in a month. Had to go get surgery. Like, how you go from, he's not even injured, to, now he's out of town getting his knee drained or something. Like, bro, what? Why should we trust you? Like, so Pete says Jamal is fine. I hope he is. I would believe he is, but it ain't because of Pete said it. I'm sorry, Pete, but your track record is bad. But yeah, if Jamal is back, that's bad news for the Bengals, man. He might kill Burrow because Burrow can't move.
Nope. This next one comes from JOME253. How is it that the Seahawks D-line can have games where they can't even get a single hand on the quarterback, and then have a game on Monday night where they got sacks on basically every drive with ease? Is it about one-on-one battles? Giants just stink? What are the bigger factors here?
That's a really good question. Pass rushing has a lot to do with the communication of the O-line and the quarterback. Some quarterbacks are just really good at avoiding pressure. Two really obvious ones that you don't have to even be a diehard football fan to know is Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. Neither one of those guys take a lot of sacks because they get rid of the ball. Tom Brady, if he's a free rusher, he might just throw it in the dirt. But like, all right, I ain't getting hit. I'm old. Like, that's how he gets down. There's some Aaron Rodgers is a good one. I think Justin Herbert is probably one of the newer guys who's really good at it. Jared Goff is great at it too. Jared Goff does not take a lot of sacks. Jared Goff has played for some really good O-lines, but generally the quarterbacks are just good at it. So, I mean, Stafford is the example for this season. Stafford was getting that ball out, boy. It was impressive, even when they were getting pressure on him. Same thing with Dalton, honestly. Dalton was getting the ball out. So some of these veteran guys just know, like, they have to get the ball out. Even if there's a free rusher, even if one of their linemen is beat. I mean, Geno's been kind of good at it a little bit this year, too. Sack rate's down from last year. It was high last year. So that's part of it. Two, it gets lost in the context of a full season, but the Seahawks, some of these games where they've had really big sack numbers, this includes last year, they've been playing some bad O-lines. Like, I think they sacked Kyler Murray like 12 times last year in 2 games or something like that because the Arizona's O-line was so banged up. And it really only takes 1 or 2 pieces to be missing on some of these O-lines, particularly teams who lose their center. That's when it just goes. I think Arizona lost its center last year. They got from the Raiders. And without him, they were just cooked. Kyler was just cooked back there. So that plays a big role, even if you got the same talent. I mean, who was it from the Niners that tweeted he was mad at Daniel Jones because Daniel Jones had just played well against them and got the ball out and didn't let them get busy on the sacks. I think it was Eric Armstead, I want to say. Yeah, because they don't got Buckner. So I knew it was an interior guy. It was a tweet. It was like, yeah, man, Daniel Jones, why couldn't you play like that against us? Why you let these guys get all the sacks? Because you can have a really good front, but if the quarterback plays it well and gets rid, Daniel Jones could have avoided half of those yesterday, by the way, by just knowing when to just getting rid of the ball. And the O-line could have prevented some of those. So I think part of it is yesterday blitzed a lot. That's part of it. Or Monday they blitzed a lot. The other thing is, the quarterback has such a impact on his own sack rate. The O-line does too, but like the O-line could let all 4 rushers come right at the quarterback unprotected. And then if the quarterback just throws it in the dirt, it's not a sack. That's it. It's just that simple. The quarterback controls it. So I think that's been a big thing with the Seahawks and their D-line. Like sometimes they just don't play that well, like against the Rams, but other times also against the Rams, the quarterbacks just does such a good job neutralizing the pass rush. And that's one of those things that, like, we're so used to just assigning sacks to O-linemen, like in this PFF kind of era of judging linemen. Nah, man, your quarterback controls his sack rate, his pressure rate, man. If he gets rid of the ball, ain't none of that.
This next one comes from Ross Fraser. If you have to pick a defensive position group that did the best, what would you pick from Monday night's game?
Man, this is a good one too. I think, I want to say the D-line. I think the D-line had some really impactful plays to set up other guys. I gave an example earlier of how Mafe really set up Bobby's first sack. I want to say there were so many sacks, can't even keep track of all them damn
11
times that they were just 10 of them were on Daniel Jones, 1 of them on a receiver. Like they just beat the hell out of those guys. But another good example is on Quandre's interception that I forgot about. Derek Hall just smacks Daniel Jones, and that just turns into a duck. That's in the air, and that's probably one of the easier interceptions Quandre is going to get. Like that's an example of like the D-line, or yes, Quandre made a good play, but really that play was made by by D Hall. It reminds me of Quandre's interception against the Rams in 2019, his pick six. Like, he makes a really good read on it, but Shaquem Griffin is who pressured Goff into making the bad throw, so Quandre could go get it. Yeah, there you go. So I think the D-line had a lot of plays like that where, yeah, Jordan Brooks gets the sack, but it was Draymond Jones' pressure that made it happen. Or, yeah, Bobby got the sack, but it was Mafe. And then obviously the D-line just got busy. Mario Edwards, Boye, Miles Adams. I think Miles Adams' first career sack, actually. So, yeah, I think a lot of those plays that were made yesterday, like the D-line, if they didn't make them themselves, they could get an assist. So, yeah, I think the D-line probably had the best game I've seen them play probably since that Monday night game against the Niners where Clowney went crazy. That would probably be, you remember that one? That would probably be
Turning for a touchdown, a fumble, right?
Yeah, I think so. And he just had a lot of pressure. I think Clowney had like 11 himself, and I think Jay Reed had some too. Yeah, it was a crazy game. They did good in that game. So, and the Niners were undefeated that year at the time. So, yeah, this D-line performance was about as good as you're going to see.
This next one comes from @SketchyWhite. What a great name. Do you have any concern? Do you have any concern that the statistical success of the defense will overshadow the improvements needed to make a sustainable run as the season toughens?
Nah, that's a good question too. We're getting some good ones today. That's a good one too. But I think from talking to these guys publicly and privately, last year was way too embarrassing. Embarrassing is not the word. Way too disappointing and frustrating for any one game to get anyone on their high horse. Like they looked bad the times they were on national TV. Like they played good against the Broncos, but like the Germany game wasn't good. Thursday night football against the Niners wasn't good. Like just when the eyes were on them, they just did not ball, and you could feel that. Like you could feel it. I'm pretty sure, and this even goes back to 2020, the 2021 season, I want to say. Clint Hurt told a story on the radio. He said he and his wife were like staying in a hotel in Seattle. I forget why. Maybe like a dinner anniversary or something like that. And I think the person who brought the room service was like, "Hey man, congrats. Make sure you're not dropping Carlos Dunlap into coverage no more." Like it was like the note on the foods that they brought. Either it was on a note or it was said directly to Clint. Either way, like they feel how you guys feel about them. They don't always acknowledge it, but like it gets to them. Like they go out to eat, their kids go to school, like they hear y'all. So, and knowing that, and then they get talked about on TV and everything, knowing that the statistics won't overshadow what they see in the film room. They know that like all it takes is one bad performance, people think you suck again. So, and in the film room, they'll show some things. Like Quandre had a missed tackle, Reek had a missed tackle. They blew a coverage. They blew two. Matt Breida had two 22-yard catches on two different 3rd and 4s. It was very, very symmetrical there. All that stuff is going somebody getting chewed out for that. Not sure who. I have to watch those again. But yeah, like that stuff will matter on Tell the Truth, whatever the hell day they do it on the bye week. So yeah, I think because of how last year went, because they got veterans in there, no one's going to get on a high. I don't think anything will happen again like last year where they were such an emotional high from beating Russ that they came out there against the Niners and got their boots smoked in week 2. I don't think anything like that will happen again.
This next one comes from Jeremy Schroeder. He wants some analysis on that defensive line, specifically Jay Reed, Edwards, Jones. But we'll start with Edwards. Above expectations? And then how do you think Draymond Jones has been doing?
I think both Edwards and Draymond, I think Draymond had a really good play on the run on Monday night. Ooh, he blew. That was another example of like, dog, do y'all know y'all supposed to block the lineman? Like, well, he just split 2 guys. It was like, man, anyway. So I think that was a really good play. I do think that they're getting the double teams are getting to Draymond and Mario, and there's some plays where they're just getting washed out. But they're not heavy guys like that, like Jay Reed, who can really handle those. Teams have been doing a good job scheming some of those up. But the good part is, this is where I say they're connected on the run defense. When that does happen, you see a Julian Love in there. You see whoever's playing nickel in there. You see Jordan and Bobby come make the tackles because that's the point. You take up a double team, no one can climb to the linebacker, boom. But then sometimes they're just getting washed out. I do think both of them were signed for their pass rush stuff, Mario and Draymond. I'm speaking about specifically, and it's been a little hit and miss, mostly miss in Draymond's case. That is where I'm like, all right, I want to see the $17 million a year guy. I mean, he doesn't set his price point, but still, you guys get the gist. Like, there's an expectation for you to go ball. I think I looked it up the other day. I might still have it up in my Word doc. I think Draymond's like 90th or something in pressures among guys with at least 50 pass rush snaps. Like, that's not good. And I changed the pass rush snap requirement to just filter out DBs pretty much and blitzing linebackers. So of guys whose job it is to rush the passer, Draymond's like 90 something in pressure rate, and Daryl Taylor's down there somewhere too. Like, those two guys, like, I know that the question was about Mario too. I'd loop him in there, even though his pressure rate's pretty decent. Like, I want to see more out of those guys in that regard. Yesterday was really good. It was good for everybody rushing the passer. But when I'm looking at Draymond in particular, I'm like, all right, man, I want to see it. Very similar to when they got Clowney. I was just waiting for it to see it. Like, all right, when is Clowney going to show up? And it was that Monday night game. I want there to be a Draymond game. We've had the Jay Reed game. We've had the Bobby game. We've had the Spoon game. We had a Trey Brown game. Like, everybody's getting a game here. Like, Chenna, like, let's see the Draymond game. We haven't seen it yet. You can see the moves is there, but he's getting some one-on-one ops. And he got a lot of double teams in the first game, but he's getting some one-on-one ops. Just gotta win them. Mario's in the little same vein, but I think Mario's been better rushing the passer. I forget where he's at in pressure stuff, but I believe it's much, much higher. I'm using pressures instead of sacks, but shoot, I think Draymond's only got one quarterback hit, too, I want to say. It's just not a good look overall. Yeah, Mario's pressure rate is like 13%. That's pretty good, especially for an interior guy. Like, he's right there with like Danico Autry. He's right under Cam Jordan. That's probably a better name that people will realize. Whereas, let me see where Draymond's at. Yeah, see, Draymond's down there pretty low. Chenna's is low too, but he has more QB hits. So yeah, when you ask me about those two guys, I just want to see more in these obvious pass rush situations, particularly from Draymond.
This next one comes from Ryan Turner at Turns44. What is going on, Ryan? What a wonderful problem to have. There are a lot of guys for Geno to throw the rock to, but what is the combustion level for DK and JSN for getting targets?
Combustion level is good. We should start like a combustion level thing on our show. We need like a graphics department to cook that up. Very similar to like how the Breakfast Club used to have like a beef meter. I remember when they had Fredro Starr on there, he almost fought Charlamagne the God. Yeah, that thing was up there. Yeah, that was crazy. Same thing when they had Birdman on there too. Yeah, I think we might need one of those.
Y'all done yet?
Yeah, that was beautiful. So I don't think, believe it or not, this might sound crazy because of all the penalties and stuff he gets. Also, before I even get to that, Chris, this might be the first game DK Metcalf doesn't get fined. Because he's been fined every week. He's been fined 4 times in the first 3 games. That's
he escaped.
Hopefully, I didn't see any plays yesterday that would be, or a Monday that would be worth it. So fingers crossed, because they are hitting DK every week. But I don't think, as crazy as it may sound, that he is very high on the combustion scale. He understands he can't get the ball every time and tends to not make a big fuss of it. From what I understand, he doesn't do it privately much either, which is good. That said, he's on a pretty low rate of target share. I think last year he was like 13th among all skill players. Maybe that's just among receivers, but he's a little lower, I think, right now than where he probably want to be. But I think he's fine. From what I've heard, he handles this pretty professionally. It sounds like JSN will too. I don't know him well enough. The thing with the JSN stuff is no one's getting a lot of deep shots. That's just kind of how it is because of how they're being covered. Teams are playing off of them like crazy. I wish we could just do a full all 22 episodes so we could just show you guys just pictures of what the pre-snap looks like. It's guys playing 8 yards off on a lot of. Yeah, it's crazy. The Panthers wanted no parts of pressing anybody on the Seahawks, and I get it. Same thing with the Rams. They really didn't either. I think I was telling this to forget who it was, one of the tight ends. I was just like, man, I would play you guys like that too. You know, you guys got good players. I'd play off as well. But like with JSN, look at Chris. Can you pull up the joint from Monday? This is a play. Again, they're playing off, but can you pause it? Like, this is crazy. I know you guys are listening, can't see, but they're playing like, what is this, Chris? 10 yards off of these guys off
11
the ball.
yards.
Yeah, like the guy playing off the slot playing over JSN is probably a good 11 yards off this guy. And Geno throws it to him. It's like first and a million. I think it's like first and 20 or something like that. But this is the right type of play. And he gets the ball in one-on-one and goes nowhere. Gets dropped in open field for like a yard. Like, these are the plays you got to take advantage of when teams do the underneath coverage. DK is pretty good at these. Like, he ran through like 5 dudes in one of those Panthers plays last week. But like, I think for some of these other guys, like Tyler Lockett's production is not like super great either right now. They gotta be these are yak opportunities that you're gonna have to take advantage of these. Like Chris, in this play that we're showing right now at the top of the screen, I think this corner's playing 10 yards off Jake Bobo. Like, if they're playing off of Bobo, y'all ain't getting no deep shots, man. And it's gonna affect the numbers and the targets and everything. But where they have to take advantage is underneath stuff. Like, ban screen passes. Y'all already know how I feel about that. But stuff like this, man, if he breaks that, Chris, he might pick up like 15 yards.
He might score because DK, I think it's might get a block in. I'm not 100% sure it goes off.
He does. He does. DK can always block somebody.
So
DK can always block somebody.
He might be able to score if he can get past the safety coming across the field or that a linebacker. Whoever's coming across the field right now, he might have a chance to make them miss and score. But to your point, getting in space, catching it at the, catches it at the 20 pretty much. You got to make him miss at least the first guy. And then
at least the first guy, man.
It's almost to the, when you're doing a punt return, you always make the first guy miss. That's automatic. That's how it works. The punt, you catch it, first guy always misses. Now after that, it could be, oh damn, you get wrapped up. But the first guy you always want to make miss. And unfortunately for JSN, he just didn't make a miss. He didn't really give him nothing. He tried to beat him with speed, and the DB wasn't falling for that. And to your point, 11 yards off. Jesus, man, you gotta make somebody miss. Gotta make somebody miss.
And I understand why there's some frustration about JSN's usage and like how much he's getting targeted and how like I think like the air yards on some of these like for DK, Geno, Tyler, and like they're not letting it fly. And guys aren't getting a lot of opportunities. A lot of the stuff that JSN gets is underneath. But I think that's fine. I always expected that. I always expected him to get stuff like the clip we just showed. Yes. DK takes him deep. Tyler on the other side occupies him. Underneath, you're one-on-one with somebody. Make him miss. That's in my mind, that's what he was hired for. So the raw numbers are never expected to be good. I just think that they got to take advantage of these underneath stuff. And it's going to be there. They just got to find a way to do it without screens, Chris, because Nope. Everybody and their mama knew after Geno had the bad wheel on 3rd and 13, when he got hurt. I knew it was going to screen. You knew it was going to be a screen. Most importantly, Kayvon Thibodeau knew it was going to be a screen. If Kayvon Thibodeau had better hands, that whole game would have changed. That would have been a smooth pick 6. It would have been even tougher on Drew Lock to come out there right after that because now the crowd would have been going even crazier. Yeah. They just scored on defense. Like, now you're in there. It's like, come on. But so I don't think that either one of those guys. I'm from what I've heard on JSN, he's not like combustion potential. DK, from what I know, he'll be fine, especially as long as they're winning games still. But yeah, I think for all of those receivers, they got to take better advantage of some of the yak opportunities they are getting because teams are that's all teams are going to give them up. There's going to be very few deep shots this year.
This next one comes from David J. Housden. Do you anticipate seeing any more from JSN before the tackles are back? That is Abe, Lucas, and Charles Cross. Or should the Seahawks just stick with 3 tight end sets as it seems to be working?
Yeah, no, I think, and I could probably do like a full-on statistical analysis to really back this up, but I'm going to just go off like me watching the film and the games and looking at some numbers. The usage rate on some of these guys is not tied to tight ends. Like the Seahawks had, they used 2 tight end sets and 3 tight end sets as much as anyone in the league last year. That wasn't like the Titans and the Ravens. And Marquise Goodwin still had he almost caught 30 balls, 380 yards, 4 tugs. Like, I don't even know if JSN's on pace to do those numbers. Maybe he is, but the tight end usage is not the issue. They are using him a little bit more, but it's not. I don't think that's like why there's some routes that you can see that JSN, he's the first read. Like, okay, like let's go to him. And then something happens. I really don't think it's because they have tight ends on the field. And you're the third receiver. Third receiver in a lot of offenses don't get a ton of run anyway. I mean, you didn't even know if Tyler Boyd was still on the Bengals, right? Like, I'm joking, but like that's kind of how it is with some of these third receivers. Like, come on, man, y'all play fantasy. How many of you guys are rostering a team's wide receiver 3 and starting them every week in a non-dynasty?
Gabe Davis. There you go. That's the only one.
But he's probably their number 2 right behind Diggs. So
now he is probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's like number 3s aren't really rostered that often, even on the best offenses. Like even on the high scoring one, like I'm sure all y'all who got George Kittle, for instance, like there's Ayuk, there's Debo, man, Kittle ain't gonna make targets. Now he's a tight end, but still, like, that when you're the third guy, not counting running backs, like it's tough. So I think some of it has to do with tight ends to help out the tackles, but I think even when Charles and Abe come back, the Seahawks feel so good about their tight end group. And I think we mentioned this last week. For whatever reason, Shane Waldron is really good at getting mismatches for his tight ends. Like he gets those guys in advantageous situations quite often. Whether the ball goes there or not, he's just really good at doing it. So I think I don't see JSN's volume going up. I think if his numbers go up in terms of production, I think it's going to be because he starts making plays like the one we just showed, where you only there was -2 air yards on the or -2, like you caught the ball 2 yards behind the line, but you made a guy miss and picked up 14 yards. When he starts making those, then I think you'll see the numbers will just look a lot better, and it'll feel like, oh, look, they're using JSN right. And it's like, well, no, they're still using him the same. The production's better. One thing I think they should stop beyond screens, though, and Chris, you've seen this. This was a thing we were frustrated with Jimmy Graham. These plays where as soon as bro catches the ball, he's right by the sideline. I just hate those. They do them a lot on rollouts. It's just like, stop that. Like, there's ways to design it. Where like the play that they did to Tyler. You remember this from the Panthers game, where like they got Tyler right by the sideline, but he was going forward and had Colby Parkinson blocking for him. Do that. Not some of these little rollouts where JSN turns his shoulders upfield and then he's right by the sideline. Of course, he's only going to get 2 yards. Like, they can cut some of that stuff out too.
This next one comes from Tony K at Karate K 84. How do you think the backup offensive line did, and are there any rookies looking like they could replace the starting veterans?
Nah, and I think Phil Haynes getting a bad rap, man. Healthy Phil Haynes is really good. Like, he's solid. Like, he's a starting guy. His calf is just on the mend right now, so they got to play Anthony Bradford. But I think healthy Haynes is like starting. I think he should start. And I think healthy Evan Brown, which he is right now, at least wrap him in bubble wrap. You don't want to lose any more guys, but all of these guys, when healthy, should start over the rookies, I'd say. That said, that just means they have good depth. This reminds me of the cornerback situation in camp. People, Chris, were asking us, oh, should they trade Trey Brown or something, or trade Michael Jackson and pick up a D tackle? It's like, nah, man, you need depth at these important positions where guys don't come off the field. Like, they had, for the second half and Drew Lock's first drive, they had 5 dudes on the field at line. None of them are playing where they're supposed to. Or like, it was 4 backups, 2 rookies, and then Evan Brown playing guard instead of center. That's crazy. And they handled it well. Really good considering the circumstances. So, I think they're just good backup pieces. And I think that's fine. Like, we talked about our preferred starting secondaries. If that means that you don't have Trey on the field and you don't have Mike Jack on the field, that's fine. And if something happens to your starters and those guys can come in, that's what you have depth for, So I think they should leave it as is. If Phil Haynes is hurt, that stinks. Anthony Bradford should do okay, but when Phil's healthy, I feel like he should keep his gig. Same thing with D-Lou, Charles, Abe. Like, I think The rookies are just proving that you can trust them in a pinch, which is good. When you're a rookie, that's a good baseline. Hey, if something happens, can we call on you? That's cool. I think we should leave it at that with the O-line.
This next one comes from Big Pete. What is the one weakness to fix? And is there a potential trade or fill for free agency in that regard?
That's a good one. Definitely no trades, no free agency. Anyone who's still on the street right now ain't that good. We know this, Chris. It's the third down stuff, man. I don't know if I've seen a team be so good on first and second down and so bad on third down. Like you sometimes because it's very interesting because when I look up the third down numbers, let me see who's right there with the Seahawks. See if I can do this in real time if my computer loads fast enough. Because like the Seahawks, when I look at the third down numbers, they're usually with teams who are just bad offensively, not just bad on third down, right? So let's look at third down conversion right here. Oh my God. I clicked the wrong button. I was like, the Saints ain't that good. Let's see. Third down conversion percentage. The Cowboys are at 51%. They lead the league. The Seahawks are at 28%. That is disgusting. That's only better than the Jets. Now, the thing is, the Jets are just bad offensively. It's not like they're just bad on third down. Like the team right ahead of the Seahawks, it's the Raiders. They're just bad offensively. They're not just bad on third down. The Jaguars, they're just bad offensively right now. Same thing with Cleveland. This team was 28th and 29th, respectively. Whereas the Seahawks are 31st in third down percentage. But Chris, where do you think they're at in like just points per game? What if you had to take a guess? Or do you know the answer?
Fourth or fifth?
They're the sixth highest scoring offense in the league.
There it is.
So they're just like only bad at this one thing. Like for comparison, who was other teams I said were bad? Yeah, the Jets.
Raiders, Jets.
The Jets score 15 points a game. The Raiders are at 15 points a game. Cleveland's at 19 points a game. Jags at 20 points a game. Like the Seahawks are at 27. It's so strange for the Seahawks to be just really good and really explosive and really high scoring, unless it's third down. On third down, they're the Jets. On first and second down, they're damn near the Dolphins. It does not make. It's so strange to see. So that is the biggest weakness. I really don't think there's a personnel fix for it. The main thing is just you need better pass protection. Geno's got to make better throws, and guys got to get open. So that's everything. Like it's the whole thing. So that's the biggest weakness. It's glaring and it's really bad.
This next one comes from Chris Calvert. Assessment of the rookie class as a whole so far. Part 2. Curious. Always wondered who Pete is always talking to on the headset. Is it a three-way communication with Shane, the OC, and Clint, the DC, at all times, or are there others involved?
I actually am gonna write a whole rookie report story here during the bye week. But generally speaking, I think they got the makings of a good class, not like a generational one. I think Spoon's gonna be really good, obviously. I think JSN will have a good rookie year, but not like what like Jordan Addison is probably gonna have in Minnesota, for instance, or like what Anthony Richardson is having, or CJ Stroud, who was hooping down there in Houston. So I don't think it'll be like that, but I think like they'll have good pieces. I think everything will look like a good piece instead of like a potential star. Like Spoon looks like potential star, whereas like D Hall, good piece. JSN right now, good piece. Who else is in that class? Zach Charbonnet, good piece. Olu, good piece. Bradford, good piece. Like there's all these players that are like good pieces. Mike Morris out for the year. So Cam Young, good piece. I think it's like a good foundation is being laid, but it's not like, oh, is this as good as the 2022 class? Really, it's just like Spoon, star power, and then good pieces. For the second part, I asked Pete this one year, and I think we have a story about headsets on The Athletic. It might be college coaches, but it's probably the similar effect. In summary, from what I remember from that, is it's chaotic. He's talking to several people. He's like, but I think he's got a line to like guys up in the booth, multiple people in the booth, not just Clint. So you got multiple people in the booth. He's got like his guy Tater, who helps him with the third down stuff, fourth down stuff, whether to throw a challenge flag, all the stuff that Pete's bad at. You can just blame Tater. challenge flags, all that stuff. So I from what I've gathered, he never goes into great detail. Not that I need it, but yeah, he's not just talking to Shane, not just talking to Clint. I don't know how many other voices that everyone else can hear, but I know Pete can hear maybe everybody, but it's several people. It ain't just Clint or Shane. It's a lot, because he was like, it's a lot to balance. And I remember thinking when he said that, I wouldn't want my head coach calling plays. I actually kind of still believe that. I don't think your head coach, if he can do it, fine. But like for some of these first time guys who do it, like Hackett tried to do in Denver, I wouldn't want that. Because there's so much stuff going on. Like, I need you to focus on all sides of the ball, special teams, defense, offense, not just the side you're good at. So, yeah, to answer that, Pete can talk to damn near everybody, I think, on those headsets. And he described it as pretty chaotic on Sundays.
This next one comes from Hunter. Where do you rank the Seahawks team? Or excuse me, where do you think the Seahawks team stacks up against the powerhouses of the NFL through 4 weeks? Excuse me.
All right, Chris, we might be able to walk through this one together. Let's see. All right, let's go through some teams here. Who do we think is the best team in the league?
Probably the Eagles.
Eagles, I'll say 49ers. But if those are our top two, that's fine. They're the two undefeated teams. That's cool. So we agree the Seahawks are probably not better than any of those two.
Cowboys.
So that's 3. Okay, I can agree with you there.
Or are we just doing NFC? My apologies.
No. The question said powerhouses. So
okay, Dolphins.
So where are we at? That's a 4th team.
Yep.
Where we at on Buffalo?
Oh yeah, Buffalo. I would put them ahead of Buffalo. Don't know how you're feeling about that.
I'm cool with that. I think I picked in our staff predictions ahead of the year for the Bills to beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, or maybe the Eagles to beat the Bills. But those were my 2 teams. So I'm pretty high on both of those. And I still am. Both of those teams are playing good football. Week 1 notwithstanding for the Bills. After that, though, it's a toss. Chiefs.
Ravens.
We're on the Chiefs.
Chiefs and Ravens, maybe?
I think the Seahawks might be right there in that little cluster.
So that's what, 6-7?
Yeah, I think like it doesn't really matter for the AFC teams because you won't play them into the Super Bowl, but I think they're right there. I think the Chiefs are pretty flawed, particularly
pass catchers,
particularly offensively. Yeah, like that. They have some issues there. They have Mahomes and Andy Reid, so I trust them to figure that out. But they have Kelsey, Taylor Swift's boyfriend, I should say. They got the pieces, so I trust them to figure that out. But like Baltimore has some flaws. Even Miami, but I just think Miami's offense is so damn scary, but their defense is so bad. So maybe they're still in that cluster too. So I think I'll put it this way. It's like a cluster where I got like, I think we could probably agree Buffalo, Dallas, Philly, San Fran are probably like
tier 1.
That's probably, if I had to tier it up, tier 1, and then like tier 2, I'd have
Chiefs,
Ravens, Detroit,
Seahawks,
Seattle, Miami, in that little cluster. Are we missing anybody worth a damn?
No. Steelers are 2-2.
No.
Chargers are 2-2.
I'm not sold on Tampa, although their record suggests that I probably should be.
No,
I'm not. Their defense, though, I am sold on. It's a good defense down there, and I think Dave Canales is doing a good job down there with Baker. But I'm just not sold. They would probably be at the top of tier 3 for me. But I think the Seahawks are right there in that tier. But I think there is a pretty big gap right now between the tier 1 teams and the tier 2 teams, particularly between the Niners, Eagles, and everyone else. I think the Niners are like unbelievably good. I don't know how much you guys have been watching the Niners, but like they're better than everyone. Brock Purdy looks like prime Tom Brady, dog. Like he just can't do no wrong. Like he's efficient. He's getting the ball to his guys. He's not making mistakes. He's throwing touchdowns. Like it's just their defense is nasty. So yeah, I think there's a big gap between the Seahawks and the Niners right now, and the Eagles.
This next one comes from Eric Mack. Does Spoon have a grill for a mouth guard? It looked cold as hell on the broadcast. I don't know if you saw it.
I did, and I don't think so. By the time I get to the locker room, he don't wear it. If he does, I don't think so. I don't think anyone plays with a grill on the Seahawks. I don't think so. Now I want to investigate But I did want us to ask this question on the show so I could acknowledge it and we could launch the Seahawks man-to-man investigation to see if anyone plays with a grill. I don't think anyone does. No, a lot of those guys play with jewelry on,
which is
but
beyond
no
me.
grills. Yeah, I could see it. They don't play with a big jewelry on. Like Reek has a big chain that says Reek. He don't play with that on. But like
I don't know how they play with.
stuff.
I don't know how they play with earrings, chains. I'm walking in there naked, no ice. Only thing that's gonna be in is probably my nose ring, and that's it. But these dudes be dripping. I'm thinking you guys aren't worried about someone tackling you and the chain just rips. But I guess you got all the money, you just get it fixed. But even then, I don't want to have to go through that. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to play with anything sentimental on. That would be the thing. I can buy a new chain, but like,
but you do every Saturday, Mike, when we play flag.
No. I play with my regular chains on, but like this chain I wear that has my uncle's ashes in it, I take that off every week. I never play with that on.
Oh,
like because my fear is what happened to Aaron Jones on primetime a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, he lost his piece.
I don't want to get the family member wrong. I want to guess, but he had a family member's I want to say ashes or something, or maybe a picture or something in the chain. The groundskeeper stayed up all night and found the chain.
I need a raise.
Aaron Jones. Yeah, I think Aaron might have did something nice for him. Maybe I'm imagining that. But that's nice? My worst.
How about a quarter?
That's my worst
check.
I don't know about a quarter. I don't know about that,
bruh. Time is money, and money is time. I need something.
All right. I'm not giving you a quarter of my joint. It was a necklace. Oh, that's a game he had 4 touchdowns too. Yeah, it was his father. I think his father who died. Yeah, he had his ashes in there. He has ashes.
Oh, wow.
So same thing I have, and I would not wear that.
This last one comes from Tony K. Part 2. I just didn't want to do it earlier during the show, but here we are. Alas, what food places did you tap into while in New York, Mike?
That was a good question. That was my first time in New York. That was fun. On Sunday, I got in at like 4:00 on Sunday night or Sunday evening or whatever. And if you guys been to New York, you know how long it takes to get anywhere. And I was staying in Times Square, so it took a long time to get there. I went to this bar called I forget the name, how to say it, Ainsworth or something. It's a sports bar. If you guys read my homie Emmanuel Morgan's piece in the New York Times where he's watching the game with the head of the person who updates the Twitter, the Taylor Swift update Twitter in New York, like I was there with them at that. That was cool. That was in Midtown. That was fun. It was felt like a kind of Buffalo Wild Wings type-ish vibe. So that was fun. Let's see. I wanted to kick it a little bit more after that, so I walked around like Times Square a little bit, but nothing was open. It was weird. But the girl who ran the site, the Twitter page, she was like, "Yeah, Times Square is kind of businessy, and it's Sunday, so a lot of stuff it's just closed. This ain't like the party side." I'm like, that sucks. But so I ended up going to this like random Irish pub right across from my hotel, and it was like thick accent in there. It was like, yo, like the dude took my order. I was like, well, I don't know what you're saying. Just give me a beer. Like it was real thick. I forget the name of it. And then on Monday, I went to our New York Times office to meet some people. And one of them recommended I go to some place called Los Tacos or Locos Tacos or something like that down near Times Square. I walked to there. Those was fire. But I put this green sauce on it, thinking it was like a mild sauce, because that's what the lady said.
Hole in your mouth.
Dog, it was so hot. They gave me some like juice or something like that. It helped it out, but it was hot. Like it would look like I was doing the little hot ones wing challenge. It was pretty rough. But the tacos I got was good. What did I eat the rest of the day? Oh, I think I just ate at my hotel before the game, and then I ate at MetLife, and then I think I ate in the airport. So that was it. I wasn't in New York too long.
No New York,
but I did have fun. Nah, man, I didn't try none of the street food. I was too nervous. And it was just everywhere. I couldn't decide, but on every block, somebody's got some gyros or I didn't actually see that many hot dogs. I saw a lot of pizzas and like Greek food. I didn't see a lot of like hot dog stands. I didn't think I seen one actually. And I was in Times Square like during the day on Monday too, like shopping around, getting souvenirs and stuff. So yeah, I didn't try a ton of food. That's the thing with these trips. Like I flew in Sunday evening. And then I was gone I caught my Uber to the airport Tuesday at like 11 in the morning. So I wasn't there. I wasn't even there 48 hours, or maybe that is, but I can't count. But anyway, y'all get the point. I wasn't there long. But I did enjoy myself. The game was cool. Times Square was cool. I felt very touristy. That was very fun. My hotel room was the size of a shoebox, though. That was crazy. Like, it was so small. I had to text Chris, like, bro, I can't even record in here. I got nowhere to record. All I had was a sink and a bed and the TV. That was it. No desk, no chair, no nothing, dog. Like, it was I don't know if I took a picture. It was small though. It was a nice room, but yeah, bro. Like, I feel like those dudes would be on those Navy boats for months at a time, be staying in better like barracks than I had. Bro. It was terrible. But yeah, I didn't eat anywhere fancy really. I had a good time though.
That's what's up. Well, look, that wraps up the Twitter questions. We appreciate all the love and support and you guys taking the time to ask questions. We will catch up with you. I don't know. It's a bye week, so we know what Mike's gonna rest his fingers. Hope he doesn't have too many stories to type up. We might drop.
You know they got me working, man.
I lied. Yeah, you heard it here from the man himself.
We could do a bye-week pod, though. We can do a bye-week pod. I'll be at the house.
You know what? Maybe we can get a guest on. Who knows? But anything else you want to add, Mike, before we get out of here?
Just thank you guys for the love and support. I appreciate it always. When I say we get good questions, I ain't just saying it. Like, I hear them. I'm like, oh, that is good. Like, makes me think about stuff, makes me look stuff up, rewatch stuff, pull up clips. Like, appreciate you guys. I always love that the show is interactive in that way. Maybe we'll do a mailbag during the bye week or something like that. Keep you guys entertained because we appreciate it. Love doing the show for you guys. Wish I could have done it in New York, but like I said, I had a shoebox for a hotel room, so it was not going to work. So until next time, we'll try to get at you guys on the bye week. Appreciate you. Peace.